The interview may be over, but the conversation is only just beginning.
So grab a cuppa and join us in the lounge as we unpack the ideas, stories and moments that stirred our buckets as we explore what they might mean for our families, our children and ourselves.
Welcome to Raising Kind Minds.
Because your voice today becomes their voice tomorrow.
In the previous episode, we sat down with James Baraz, mindfulness teacher, author of Awakening Joy, co-founder of Spirit Rock Meditation Center, and former primary school teacher, whose work has touched thousands of lives around the world.
There was one message woven through almost everything James shared. Children don't learn how to treat themselves from what we tell them. They learn from what they see us do.
So today we're exploring what happens when we stop striving to be perfect parents, start giving ourselves a little more grace, and discover that perhaps the greatest lesson we can teach our children is how to begin again after we've messed up. Let's dive in.
Welcome, lovely Liz. Thank you, lovely Catherine. So you've got Crusher there.
I do.
I've got Booster here. Looking particularly fabulous today. So lots to cover on this conversation. I loved that James talked about being out of his depth in the early days. I think any educator listening to this will recognise that. I only had one rule in my classroom, and I loved that James had one that was similar but slightly different. So he said the most quietly radical thing that he shared, I think, was make sure your happiness is not at the expense of somebody else's suffering. I think that's quite an extraordinary thing to say to young children. And of course, I think we underestimate our kids. They get it. They got it. And he said that was his only rule. And it held everything. It held the kindness, the empathy, the compassion, the respect, the community, that common humanity, that understanding, camaraderie, looking out for your mate. And I felt that was really, I think, so rich. I used to have a 4-letter word on my board. I was thinking, what was your rule in the classroom? Four-letter. I wasn't big on tons of rules, and often the schools I taught in, there were a huge list, which I don't think is very helpful at all. I just had a 4-letter word, which encompasses everything that James has just said.
Okay.
It started with a K. Thank you. Stop giggling.
I'm thinking about all sorts of
Stop sniggering.
Words it could be.
And you at home. Yes, started with a K. K-I-N-D. I just put it in big letters.
And here we are doing Raising Kind Minds.
It's radical. Look at that. It seems to be threaded through my life. So I'd put
Kind care.
Kind care. Thank you very much. I put be kind on the whiteboard. That was it.
That's 6 letters just here.
That's 2 words. It's being picky today. That's why Crusher's sitting on her lap. Just so you know, everyone.
I'm feeling a bit boostery cheeky, actually.
Well, Crusher can be cheeky too. Crusher doesn't have to always crush you. But anyway, this is essentially what James is talking about. That kindness, coming from that place of kindness from within. And I thought that was just so lovely and powerful. Make sure your happiness is not at the expense of somebody else's suffering. There's a lot of depth there. Anything you'd like to add to that one before we move on?
I thought it was also interesting that, well, I've known James now for a number of years. Catherine and I are also Awakening Joy facilitators through James's.
Love joy.
Guidance. We really do.
Joy spotting. Well, we'll come to that later.
Later. That's a little trailer preview. But one thing I didn't know, well, I just hadn't remembered if I had known previously, was that he'd fallen into teaching. It hadn't been what he'd wanted to do. Like, it wasn't his all the way through school, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up, become a teacher. but it was a way of being part of a difficult time in the US at the time when they were involved in the Vietnam War. And I found that really fascinating, that he knew that he did not want to go and fight. And so he could be a valuable contribution to his country by becoming a teacher. I thought it was really fascinating, actually. And of course, one thing I just enjoy about James is that he's just a natural teacher.
He is.
And he has done that ever since his 20s. So,
and I love that he was such a rock star. So if you see this wonderful episode with James Baraz, you'll see this 70-something-year-old man with a little moustache, and he's so unpretentious. He was a rock star in the 70s. I mean, he talked to us. We're recording this live in the Isle of Wight. And he said to us that...
And we said, you probably don't know where the Isle of Wight is.
And he said, oh, I do. And I have really happy memories. So he came to the Isle of Wight Festival in 1970.
Yeah. As the really massive one. If you don't know about the 1970 Isle of Wight Music Festival, absolutely enormous. I mean, eye-watering number of people came across.
And who did he see?
Jimi
Hendrix. Can you believe it? Anyway, so just painting a picture when you see him on the screen, he gave us a little snapshot into, this was a bearded, hippie, long-haired, alternative kind of guy going into a very
mainstream education.
Yeah, very conservative space. And peace and love
being himself.
Yes, peace and love with himself. Everything.
Yeah.
And he pulled it off. He created a space for the children to, he had to learn how to hold a classroom. You do have to have those boundaries, and that can be challenging. But I love that he shared about once he'd been taught by a student, why are you not listening to me?
Well, sometimes our kids do need to.
Well, they're great teachers, aren't they?
Yeah.
But from this space, he could invite them to a new opportunity. We can have so much fun if you simply follow this one rule. And it's a guiding principle more than a rule, isn't it? It's like, let's treat each other kindly. And of course, there's no doubt that he would have treated the children with kindness and compassion and understanding and generosity and all the things that, all the qualities that he embodies now, which is wonderful.
I think it's a good reminder, though. Catherine mentioned a student taught him or instructed him how he needed to be in the classroom in order to have good classroom management. And I think sometimes we forget or don't even consider that our kids can also teach us some really valuable lessons, because as a child gets older, we're learning with them at each stage. We've talked about this previously. So we're learning each phase. Every new year's a new chapter in the story, maybe even multiple chapters a year, obviously. And so to really also learn from our children, I think, would be a good takeaway.
And James said, remember, our children are sobering and profound mirrors for our parenting. And I thought that was just superb. So I know another teacher, Dr. John DiMartini, he says, what we repress, our children will express.
Yes.
So if we can open the doors to looking for the good, he talked about Rick Hanson's looking for the good, but really turning our radar on for the goodness in our children, for the goodness that we witness, and to reflect that back. We can be their booster mirrors. Mm-hmm. We can show them, yes, that did feel really nice when I helped my brother to tidy his room. That did feel nice when I was sharing my toys with my friends. That did actually, it was tricky, and I did it, and then I felt good. And we can shine a warm light on all of those acts of kindness, all of those healthy responses, and of course that we can be kind to ourselves when things are difficult. And we can look for the joy, look for the delight, look for the good.
And we expect to see it as well. That's the more
yes,
we see
it's about science.
And it's like yeast growing. So the more you're looking for that, my own analogy, not James's.
That's a strange analogy.
I do think so, because then...
Are we baking bread?
We are effectively. We're baking goodness. So the more we're looking, the more the goodness grows, the more we're feeding that, like we do with the yeast.
With warmth.
Mm-hmm.
We need the warmth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a really disturbing...
That's quite good, actually.
Quite good. I love bread.
So do I. Okay, come on, Prussia.
Now, I would like us to talk about the song.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how popular Sesame Street is now in the 21st century, but I think it's still rocking.
I don't know, but I think it is still rocking. Certainly when I was growing up, all the way through my childhood in New Zealand, we had Sesame Street.
Well, you see, when I was growing up, we didn't really, sounding like a dinosaur.
Did you even have television?
Didn't really have much telly. We didn't really sort of get to see the telly. I don't remember it when I was little. But James talked about that common humanity, singing, everyone makes mistakes, or yes, they do. I don't know the truth properly. And he burst into song. And, also remembering he was a rock star, he did play the guitar. He still does. And when he was training us, we'd always finish with the song.
Which he would be playing on the guitar.
Honestly,
so
what a hippie. He's so awesome. Totally unpretentious. Let's sing, because the joy, we know scientifically, when we sing, we're going to activate those happy hormones in the body. That's why we want to sing to our children and get them to sing and sing songs and listen to fun, Well, I know sometimes it's hard if they're on repeat again and again and again, but actually it's a magical memory.
And I think it's also great. Well, how many adverts do you remember as a child growing up on television? And you can actually
burst into song.
I'm not going to do a single one, but I often do. Because they are embedded, aren't they? You remember them because you've sung them, because then you remember the tune or however that shows up. And I think that the Sesame Street one, everyone makes mistakes. Oh, yes, they do. Where he's singing that around the house with his son, Adam. And it just makes it okay. It's not just
makes
Adam.
Mistakes okay.
Well, that's what I mean. It's not just Adam making mistakes. We all do it. It's that common humanity again.
Yeah.
Making it okay.
And giving his son it's a taste of compassion. Oh, can I give my dad a break? Because he did just lose it at me. And that wasn't okay. I didn't like it. But him bursting into song saying, everyone makes mistakes. Yes, they do. And then obviously he did say, he'd repair and say sorry. And I loved also, he talked about when Adam was old enough to understand where the hand on the clock
I loved this.
went, let's think analog. We're going back a few years, but I do love an analog clock. So when the big hand has moved from the 12 to the 3, you can come and knock on my door.
Because Dad's having time out.
Dad was having time out. So he was probably meditating, doing some breath work, whatever he needs to do.
Catching his breath from a child.
And to recognise when you've got young children, we need that. And I didn't give myself that. I was just on to the next thing and I was just on the churn, on the treadmill, trying to keep up with things or actively playing, in fairness.
True. So if you're not playing or doing something with the child, then you've got a long, long to-do list that also needs to be.
Yes.
And that
we weren't on
period.
the list, were we?
No.
Please put yourselves on the list, people. Put yourself on the top priority list, because when you do, then everything changes. When you recognise, actually, I need a rest, Now, I know I can hear some mum saying, of course I know I need a rest comfort. I want to box my ears. But actually, in that really self-compassionate approach, now, part of my self-compassion journey was the ability to ask for help. And that took a long time. And I really wish I'd had that skill when the kids were little. Please take my children. I need to lie down. I'm so exhausted. Please go and just entertain them. I just need to close my eyes. Now, I was so resistant to asking for help. And, well, the boys' dad was not, we didn't ask. We very rarely asked, I should say. And that's another skill. But I loved that James gave himself permission. He could see the value in him recharging his batteries.
Well, it was twofold, wasn't it? 15 minutes time out for James, very useful, especially if he's, on duty all the time, and 15 minutes for his son to do some self-generated activity. He had to fill the time himself.
That's right. And obviously he's old enough
because we're so
to be able to look at the clock and old enough to be safe and on his own, etc., etc. But I think this is underestimated.
Well, he was old. We don't know how old he was. He was old enough to be able to read the clock.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So he'll be old enough to be safe in that space on his own.
Exactly. Maybe he's 5. Don't know. But anyway.
But boredom and self-generation and creativity, this is why we've got the cuddle buddies. Because, how I used to love my teddies, playing with teddies and dollies and talking and
you can actually let your imagination.
Yes, I did creativity. That, sat under a tree and took tea with the teddies on my own. But I wasn't on my own, obviously, because I had my teddies and my dollies and all of that. And I love that, yes, he created that space for his son as well. Lovely. So, would you like to talk about joy spotting? It's one of your favourite things.
I do love a bit of joy spotting, actually, yes. James talked about intentional practice. And I'd not really thought about joy spotting until we enjoyed the Awakening Joy program. And in the very beginning of James's book, which Catherine and I refer to as the Handbook for Life, even in the introduction,
we're fans.
We have it. But even in the introduction, there are so many very easy to manage. Well, easy.
We could do an entire course
just on the introduction.
Just on the introduction.
Yeah. And one of the things was
gold
to look for the joy. So we are actively, and we invited people who are doing the program with us, to actively look for the joy. And if they had young children as well, or grandchildren, to include them in the practice. So we're looking for the joy, things that delight us, things that make us smile. And I remember my mother-in-law, when my son was born, she literally could spend hours just watching him. It brought her so much joy. It was probably one of the most favourite things for her in her whole life. She never ever got bored. She delighted in seeing a little hand twitch, or the eyes flutter open when he was waking up, or a smile just gently erupting across his face as he woke up and recognised her. Like, she painted this picture for me, and she was joy spotting, but I didn't know it as joy spotting at the time. And savouring. She was savouring it.
Yes.
And even when she was then sharing it with me, she was then reliving the experience. She was really marinating in the experience, which is probably why it stayed with me. Yes. I have never, ever forgotten. And I had I had an agreement with my mother-in-law. So I was in New Zealand. I didn't have any other family close by that I could ask for help. And I had an agreement with my mother-in-law that every time I needed a babysitter, I would ask her. And every time she had the choice to say yes or no. Didn't have to give any reasons. I didn't have to give any reasons why I needed a babysitter.
No obligation.
So no obligation, but I did not want to decide for her that she had had too many babysitting. I'd asked her too many times. How often would I be in my own head, Crusher saying to me, you cannot ask her again. You've asked her too many times. You cannot ask her again. And so she and I made this agreement that I would ask every time, and I didn't have to give a reason why I wanted the babysitting, and she didn't have to give a reason whether she said yes or no. But I gave her the choice to say yes or no. And she had the opportunity, if she wasn't at work, to enjoy more joy spotting with her one and only grandchild.
Yeah.
And
So
it was a really good agreement, because we made it when we were sort of in neutral ground and there was no heightened emotions like, I really need a babysitter.
Please help me.
Or me just being in Crusherville and not being willing to ask for help. Because asking for help's really hard. Yeah. Anyway, there's so many layers to asking for help. So joy spotting, I love it. And delighting.
And it can be something really simple. Joy spotting. Start joy spotting with your children.
Yes.
Because, again, it will be training them to look for the good, look for the joy, look for happiness. Because we know, James went into the science about how we will carve deeper, stronger neural pathways in our brain that will automatically start looking for good. Oh, look at that lovely butterfly. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, look how the sun is shining on those leaves. Oh, look, there's a squirrel. We have red squirrels here. They're very, very pretty indeed.
Well, I was thinking every time we see a rainbow, we stop and we delight.
We love a good rainbow.
Well, we really do. And there is that excitement. Like, Catherine, look, there's a rainbow.
Yes. Awe and wonder and joy, everything that your child will naturally have. Yes. But if you keep focusing on it, and they'll bring your attention to magical things that may not seem so magical to you, but you can spot the joy with them and savor the joy and drink it in and spend that moment. James talked about that moment, don't just go, oh, yes, that's lovely, dear. Really soak it in. Oh, yes.
Because even as you're speaking, I'm noticing I'm feeling lighter,
more expansive.
My heart's opening. I'm thinking about what you're saying. I'm also thinking about other joy experiences. It's just very expansive.
Yes.
It's lovely, actually.
And that leads me quite nicely into there was a deep, profound teaching, a non-duality teaching from Tibet. And I will quote it in the notes. But when in doubt, relax. I just want to say that again. When in doubt, relax. Now, I really, really, really wish I had known this. And I'm work in progress, learning this one. When in doubt, relax. I think a lot of our audience may not be relaxing so much because they want to get it right. And that's why they're listening to a podcast like this. They want to, what's the best way to be a good parent? And
James, they just want to be entertained by us.
Well, have you got your juggling balls with you?
No, but I have been savouring the good.
Very
joy
good.
Spotting. But yes, I definitely was not the most relaxed.
And I didn't think I was anxious or tense. But when I hear this now, relax. Can we relax into parenting? Can we set the intention for ease, well-being, inner peace, joy? I'm just trying to find the actual notes. Here we are. When in doubt, relax. This is an advanced teaching in Buddhist philosophy. Simply being here, fully alive, and this Tibetan master, I can't remember her name, Nagum, the 4 faults of awareness. So it's so close, you can't see it.
it's so deep you can't fathom it. It's so simple you can't believe it, and it's so good you can't accept it. So this is our invitation for everyone today. Please relax. Can let go of the doubt. Lean back, and be really present. And James talked about the sacred art, the art of sacred perception. Let it sink in. Recognize this magical moment, which might just seem like dinner at the dinner table with your family, but see if you can look through the lens of this sacred perception. And he mentioned Einstein, didn't he? Everything as a miracle. I do this way more now. Obviously, I've learnt these skills. But when my sons come to visit, when we're together, I do lean back more. Mm-hmm. I do open and relax. I let myself almost like take a mental photograph, but it's a mental, emotional, physical, sensual, spiritual photograph of this moment. I'm drinking it in because it's so precious. Mm. And that's much harder when you're kids, when you're on the go. Yeah, and there's chaos and there's busyness and there's stuff happening and there's responsibilities, and I really want to acknowledge all of that. But if you can...
Well, he summed it all up, hasn't he? Don't miss it.
Don't miss it. Let it sink in. Really take it in. Drink it in. And allow yourself to receive it. Because it is so beautiful, it's so precious, it's so magical. And we're speaking as mums that, can't call them boys anymore, but our young men are living their own lives, and as it should be, great, wonderful. And the time with them becomes even more precious when we do see them, because they're all in different parts of the world. So, there's so much. I mean, what was interesting, we're talking about joy spotting and James's teachings, but my cheeks were actually aching by the end because I was so joyful to be with him. I was so joyful to have the privilege of sitting with, I would say, a modern day master, and having that opportunity to just drink in his words. And some of them were quite surprising, I must say. Please do take a look at the episode. But he did remind us, be as kind to yourself as you can by honouring and recognising that you are doing the best you can in any one moment. So he said, be patient with yourself, forgive yourself when you blow it, look for the goodness in yourself. Remember, it's okay for me to be happy too. It's okay for me to take care of myself too. And to set the intention for joy, for well-being, for ease. His book is called Awakening Joy, but, he talks about some people don't feel comfortable with the word joy. They want well-being or ease or peace. And let go of expectations. Just give yourself a little bit more of a break. And he asked us, are you giving life a pass or fail test?
Oh, yeah.
In everything you do. I thought that was really, really powerful. So please put down the A-star grade requirement. Give yourself a break. Can we drop the bar a little bit? Because we know unmet expectations can lead to terrible disappointment.
It's such a
awful, difficult emotion to navigate. And I'd like us to leave with a really, really important question. And he said, are you giving life a pass or fail test? And obviously, are you giving yourself as a parent, an educator, an auntie, an uncle, and a grandparent a pass or fail test?
please put down the judgments. We are going to fail in some respects as a parent. We will mess up and we will have to begin again. We will need to repair, and we do our absolute best with good intention to love and care for our beautiful children.
Because everyone makes mistakes. Oh, yes, they do.
I'll have to get you singing that next time we're in.
I might have to find it on Sesame Street.
So remember to be patient with yourself. Forgive yourself when you blow it. Look for the goodness in yourself. Recognize it's okay to be happy, and it's okay to take care of yourself. Take that oxygen mask first.
Include ourselves. Yeah.
Include ourselves in this compassionate circle in our family. So,
Pass or fail is such a clear picture, isn't it?
And, you know, everything's graded. Everything from almost the minute we're born now. We're graded. Are we growing fast enough? Are we putting on weight fast enough? Are we
too much fast? Or not.
Yes, not enough. So we're in this very peculiar, let's measure everything and see if we're measuring up or not. And I would really encourage you, if you're listening to this and you are struggling a bit, put down the measuring stick, because oftentimes we just pick that measuring stick up and whack ourselves with it.
Yeah.
And it's not helpful. We will be offering a really beautiful meditation practice.
Oh, yes. We'll bring not all of the threads, but we'll bring the threads together from our James conversation.
So if you're new here, in Raising Kind Minds, we have an expert interview. Then we have this conversation, our curious conversation. And then we create
the meditation.
Thank you. You're like some sort of voiceover person. And we have this wonderful opportunity for you to just tap in, tune into your heart and give yourself, they're about 10 minutes long, maybe a bit longer sometimes, 10, 15 minutes to give yourself that top up for you, so that
the time out,
a little time out for yourself in a kind way, so that you are more resourced for raising kind minds.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Conversation.
We hope it's given you an opportunity to pause, reflect, and perhaps be a little kinder with yourself today.
And if this week's conversation has reminded us of anything, it's that our children don't need us to be perfect. They need us to keep showing up, keep learning, and be willing to begin again.
In our next episode, we'll be slowing things down with a guided meditation inspired by James's beautiful reminder, when in doubt, relax. It's an opportunity to move beyond thinking about these ideas and experience them for yourself.
If today's conversation has got you thinking about how your child talks to themselves, we invite you to take our free quiz. You'll find the link in the show notes. It takes just 90 seconds and will show you exactly what's going on for your child's inner voice right now.
And if this conversation resonated with you, please do share it with someone you love who might need to hear it today. Word of mouth is how we're growing this community.
Here's to raising kind minds.
Starting with your own.